Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse. I'm Mitch, and today we're going to be talking about horror in Magic the Gathering. How's it going, John?
It's going well. I like that intro because you had a pause. Did you know what's it?
Thanks.
Pause for dramatic effect.
It's going to sound really nice with the music.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, huh? It'll be good with the music in the front. You knew what you were doing. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, totally. Wasn't improv. I'm a single take wonder.
So I'm John, one of the main hosts on the show, aka Horchata Master in League of Legends, aka Jinkies on what is it? Overwatch.
Shut up, nerd.
AKA Hong Kong Fooey on League of Legends. Seriously, it's spelled exactly like the TV show.
We get it. You're on the computer a lot.
PC is the master race. No.
It is.
We're joined today by our special guest, Eddie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Of course. We always love having guests on, especially for cool topics like this one for Magic the Gathering. So for anybody who doesn't know what Magic the Gathering is, Mitch is going to give you a little intro for what exactly it is and why you should care.
I don't imagine why anyone would care what Magic is, to be honest. It's a card game, essentially, is what Magic the Gathering is. It's a card game with a story, though. There's an entire narrative attached to these cards, and they are all tied to a story that goes back all the way to, I want to say, 1993 is when I believe like the first set of cards came out, and they had an entire narrative attached to it. Today, we wanted to focus on the horror aspect of Magic. So, for the people who do not know, we're going to be speaking about mostly the narrative aspects of Magic, so much like the world building and what it is in itself. So what I will say is that in the universe of Magic the Gathering, there are planes that float around in this endless ethereal sort of like space that is just in between them. It's a very dangerous area. Mortals probably shouldn't be traveling through there. And here, there are pockets that are planes of different existence. So they're just different worlds all on their own where magic operates a little bit differently there sometimes, things like that. There are people in this universe who are able to walk to these planes and pass through that ethereal unharmed and travel. And these people are called planeswalkers. In the interest of the game, everybody is supposed to be one of these planeswalkers, and they build a deck around all of their experiences from all these different planes. Every set of Magic usually centers around, every set of new cards that comes out, usually centers around a specific plane and a storyline that's happening on those planes.
Right. So for anyone who likes facts, it was created by Richard Garfield and was released in 1993 by Wizards of the Coast, now a subsidiary of Hasbro. And so it then became Magic, and then became Magic the Gathering at some point later on. And so while you're playing the game, you'll also get this lore to go along with the cards that you're physically buying and putting into this deck that you'll end up playing. And so the ones we wanted to focus on were the horror-based ones, which include Innistrad, which had vampires, werewolves, ghouls. What else do they have in Innistrad?
In some of the more recent sets of it, the Eldrazi were also there.
That's right. And so there's also the Eldrazi, as well as you mentioned one other one that you wanted to talk about, right?
So we've got Eldrazi, the Phyrexians.
That's it, the Phyrexians.
Or I think it's. I've heard two different pronunciations. I've been pronouncing it Phyrexian my entire life, but I've also heard Pyrexia, so Pyrexian also. So Phyrexian, Pyrexian, same thing. I'm going to go with Phyrexian because it always sounds cool to me.
Or Phyrexian.
Phyrexian?
Yes.
I wonder if there's actually a pronunciation, like you go to those websites where you go to figure out like
I would guarantee
how do you pronounce someone's
name.
name?
This sounds like a debate already.
Right.
So, but let's avoid that debate because semantics are dumb and I don't want to deal with it right now.
One of my friends is cringing because she's a linguist, so so she's like, "What the fuck?"
So before we get deeper into Magic,
right,
I think it would be good if we talk a little bit to our guest this evening, Eddie, and see what his experience is in the realm of horror and things like that. I think would be a good place.
Right. So, is horror one of your favorite genres?
It most definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What medium do you usually go through? Is it movies, literature, comics, video games?
A little bit of everything. like comics, horror, or movies, shows, and video games for sure. So those are my sort of like main sources of where I pick up on like horror and stuff. I think the first was like Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps,
Yes.
pretty much. And then
Upcoming ideas.
and then there's also the Universal Horror Monsters, which I was introduced to. So
Right.
that stuff. Then I
Oh,
would
you
say
mean like Frankenstein and Dracula? And
yeah, and the
things like that.
Wolfman.
Okay,
And Creature from the Black Lagoon.
nice.
And
It's a classic.
yeah, definitely. Which they still need to make a movie.
For which one?
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, no one's attempted to do a redo of that. I don't know if it's just because there's not enough content or if they just don't want to touch it.
I'm here for that.
Right. I think
Yeah.
I think it's about time. Like somebody could do it.
Shape of Water was kind of like that.
That was great. That movie was just odd
Yeah.
all around.
I have yet to see that one.
Really? It's a beautiful movie.
It actually is a really good movie.
I hear that it's fantastic. I just have never. I keep every time I have a moment, I just haven't been able to watch it.
You should definitely watch it.
I have a
And,
favorite
yeah.
scene in the movie where she's dancing with the fish man in like the artist style, like black and white, and she has a musical number.
Yes, and they're
Pretty
all
much.
dressed up.
Yeah. That's an Oscar-worthy moment right there. I think that's what sealed the Oscars for.
I love it because it had those really great moments like that where it like turns into slightly like a musical. And then it has other moments where she's like explaining to her friend how he has a penis and like how exactly they had sex. And you're just like, whoa, what the hell?
Those are the questions your friends are going to ask you.
Apparently it was like a retractable penis is what he's got. And that's how it works.
Well, that's,
Yeah, she has a visual. She like opens her hands and then like it kind of comes through. Yeah, that's the visual she gives you, which is really funny. So
very
now
good.
you know. Shape of Water also includes fish penis.
You know, well,
I think that's
fish
on the sex
dicks,
market
never
too.
mind. I'm not going to bring up that meme.
Oh, which meme? I gotta know now.
Fish dicks.
Oh, never
There you
mind.
go. You already, see, I'm not bringing it up.
Yeah.
But now you look what you did.
Look what you did. I blame you for all of this.
So Eddie, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What's your experience with Magic?
Magic, I've collected some cards pretty much. I've played a little bit of it, but I feel like I'm a virgin at it, pretty much. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like, I came out of this whole nunnery and just like, hey, I want to try this. I want to just invite me in, please.
Oh, that's
But-
all right.
Yeah, so I feel like I still want to get more experience out of playing Magic and stuff because I don't feel like I played enough of it. Like, the first time I started collecting some of the cards was, like, junior high, and I was trying to get out of, like, the whole, like, Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! Sort of thing that was going on.
I think that we will be curing this hiatus you've had with Magic after this podcast.
Yeah, even before we started, I was like, you know what? I'm definitely going to want to play Magic after talking about it so much. But I feel like Magic is one of those games that whether or not you like it will be determined by the people that introduce you to the game, because there are people who will introduce you and will just beat you like relentlessly, and then you just don't like the game anymore. And you're like, I don't want to play this anymore. This is kind of lame. Like, you're just going to beat me every single time. And then other times, like, I had a really good intro because Mitch was the person who showed me how to play Magic. And we went from playing, like, sort of the regular ones that we had to, like, you should build your own. And then once I started building it, I got a better understanding of how all the cards worked. And then you get some satisfaction out of building it, turning it from an idea into, like, a real concept. And then it's in front of you, especially when it does well and people are like, fuck that, I do not want to play that.
It's been, I think I'm not sure, I don't remember what the rating system was, but Magic was recently marked as one of the world's most
complex
like games
Yeah.
that exists. And I mean, when you have an ever-changing format constantly, it's going to get that way.
It's more so for the addition of mechanics than it is for the original play style. So, like, how the original game runs, it's more so like these are all the mechanics that will go against most of the main rules. And then you have to figure out how those play against each other, and then what will, like, resolve first, I guess, is like the best way to say it. Go ahead.
So horror in Magic, I think we brought up 4 groups that we think represent horror in Magic.
Right. So there's the main creatures that show up there, and then there's the planes that they sort of exist on. And so Innistrad is basically like the world of like classic horror movie monsters. So it includes like werewolves, vampires, it has angels, demons, ghouls, geists, things of like all of those things. And then at some point the Eldrazi sort of come crashing into their world and start changing it up, and that's where the lore comes in. And then the Eldrazi are like Lovecraftian creatures come to life. Some of them are smaller versions, which you'll get in the creatures, like in the cards. And other ones are humongous things like Emrakul, which is, I don't even know if they have like a size comparison for how big it is, but it's just a giant tentacle monster.
I think Emrakul is like a big jellyfish.
Also, Emrakul is a she.
Yes, she's she.
Yeah.
She is a large jellyfish. And
Gotta give that jellyfish love.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So when they hug you, yeah, and like the Eldrazi, like they feed on the magic of the world. They eat it. They just consume magic forever. That's
it's
their
like
whole
they
deal.
They eat the what?
They
the
don't even
mana?
have like an actual mind of their own, really. They
No.
just are constantly eating.
It's like a hive mind sort of.
Yeah, essentially.
So they just consume pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's like their main goal. But I think as a part of that, I was curious with both of you guys. Do you guys have a favorite color to play in Magic, or like, do you think you'd be like, oh yeah, that appeals to me. I like where this is going.
I like green. Green is my favorite color in Magic because you've got the ramp, so you get all the lands, and I get all the biggest creatures.
What does it mean for ramp?
Oh, ramping is basically where you are putting more lands down on the field. Magic is a is for in its most simplest state, it is a game of probability and resource management.
Yes.
That is in its most basic. That's what it is.
Right.
It's resource management, and
That is to say that you need a certain amount of lands to summon a creature and or a spell.
play other
kind of
spells and whatnot. Which
Right.
technically creatures are spells until they hit the battlefield.
The technical rules.
The technical rules, but yeah. So, but yes. So I get to play big spells. I build up and then I slam down really hard.
So
And then
you
it's
like
fun.
the big creatures that are like stomping around.
Oh, I love doing stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Eddie?
Red and black, which I know is fire and death pretty much.
Yes. Yeah. Fire is definitely, or red is like burn, very quick. Usually like smaller creatures, but strong for the beginning of the game. Why do you like them so much?
Red's always been like my favorite color. So
Oh, gotcha. So
it's always like a dominant color for me. For what I like to go for. And just it's a strong element to me.
Nice. I think the official guild name of what is it? Black and red is Rakdos. Yeah. So if you're curious to know what the color combinations are, they have a name for every single one.
Yeah, they're based off the Ravnica guilds.
Yep.
Ravnica is a plane in the universe of Magic.
Let me see. My favorites are probably green is up there. I probably would say green, black, and white. Actually, no. Everything but blue. Honestly, I think it's because of the play style. So, like, blue is a lot of control. Like, you end up kind of doing counter spells. You have small creatures. You're more about, like, controlling what everyone else is doing.
You're like a reactive player when
Yes,
you play blue.
very reactive. I don't play like that. I usually like to play with white and green because of the tokens. So, lots of tokens. Like, I have a red EDH deck, which is a 100-card deck, and it's based on goblins. And my goal is to get as many goblins out as possible, and that is like the main goal of the deck. And another one I have is the white one, which is it's based around Voltron, which is like that one card gets powered up, and you get to put equipment and other creatures buff it up. And so I love playing Voltron style, making the huge creature with all these extras on it. That's my style.
Just put them all together and they form one.
Right. There's some cases where if you have like a certain creature out with your main commander, they start getting like more creatures that come out. Like the one I have is Kemba, and she every time she has like a piece of equipment attached to her, I can tap her and then like 2 or 3 cat creatures come out. So based on how much gear she has on, she's able to bring out more cat tokens, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger from all the equipment that I end up attaching to her. I'm not a fan of the control, so anyone who plays blue, I'm usually not a fan. Which I think Dorian is like his favorite.
Yeah, blue's great. Blue has so many cool things. It has one of my favorite cards, which is one of his favorite cards, is Mystic Speculation.
Yeah.
Just like 1 and then like 2 buyback 2, and you get to scry 3. It's pretty nice.
Do you guys have a favorite card or cards combo?
Not really, because I'm still
Yeah, you're still
learning.
getting into it.
Yeah, because I'm still trying to find other players to play with, pretty much.
Gotcha.
And so hopefully tonight you guys can be breaking my cherry a little bit more into that. I'm just saying.
Right. No. Yeah.
Just pull out the tarp and just like, we're doing this.
Pull
my
out the
God.
tarp. That sounds like a rough intro into
That's
water
a really
sports.
rough intro. It's a really rough intro into Magic.
I've just been holding this for years. I just want to give this to you.
So we've got the Eldrazi, which are sort of like the Magic's version of like Lovecraftian horror.
Yes.
They're sort of these unknowable, huge beings that could just wreck your world just because they want to. And that's sort of like the essence of Lovecraftian horror in itself, is that there's something larger than
horror.
you. Cosmic
is the
horror.
Main thing.
Cosmic horror in the main thing, yeah. Lovecraftian/cosmic horror, whatever you want to, yeah. All the same scope of everything. So they're kind of like that. Magic also has like some interesting use of vampires.
Yeah.
So there was a planeswalker, which is one of these special people I was talking about earlier, that can traverse from plane to plane. And Sorin basically started a group of vampires on the plane of Zendikar,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, which is where the Eldrazi started their assault on the multiverse.
Wasn't it an accident? The Eldrazi kind of coming out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so.
There
Yes,
was-
it's
I
always
think,
an
yeah.
accident.
I know it's never purposeful that you're like,
You know,
I'm
there's
going to bring
there was
forth.
like, oops, caused a calamity.
I always think of the one card. What is it? Tragic Slip, which is like if something dies, then it's like -13/13 to whatever comes in. So like you could potentially kill Emrakul as soon as it comes in, which is like either that one or the
Actually, you
yeah.
wouldn't be able to kill Emrakul because she has protection from colored spells.
Oh,
fuck y'all.
it's fine. A big creature.
Yeah,
You're
just
right.
something big
You're
and
right,
nasty.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much anything else after that. Or I think of that playmat with the squirrels, where it's like 15 squirrels. What will I do against such awesome power? Because you could potentially have 15 1/1 squirrels fight a big 15/15
Oh,
creature,
yes.
which is probably the most hilarious image in my mind. Just a stack of squirrels fighting against Emrakul and winning and winning that matchup.
Oh yeah.
Hell
No,
yeah.
Super silly. Super silly to imagine that.
So how do the Eldrazi get brought into the world, and like how does that affect it? It goes into Innistrad, right?
Well, it starts off on Zendikar.
That's right.
And then you've got a few planeswalkers. You've got, I think it's Ugin, Nahiri, and Sorin. And they basically like seal the Eldrazi the first time. And then Sorin fucks off the plane over to Innistrad, hangs out there. If I'm not mistaken, he starts some vampire cults over there as well, or vampire families and whatnot. And then the Eldrazi are accidentally released by another group of planeswalkers, and it starts this whole issue. And then the group of planeswalkers rally against them as basically as the Eldrazi eat their plane.
Right.
And then Emrakul fucks off to Innistrad. They kept it a big secret forever, but it was like kind of leaked that she had moved. So she traversed planes over to Innistrad, started causing problems there and morphing the people around on that plane.
So I wasn't exactly sure. Maybe I just didn't understand how the planes work. But do these planes exist sort of separate of each other? Like they don't get traversed very often. Like one
By
to
the
another?
planeswalkers, they get traversed, but they exist separately.
Yeah.
They're not like joined or anything. They're just kind of floating around.
Yeah. So there's only
So
a
like
handful
planets.
of
They're
people.
kind of like planets in a way.
There's only like a handful of people who can actually like
Yeah,
move between them.
Yep.
Okay. That's what I wasn't exactly sure if like anyone else could.
There's a whole bunch of other planeswalkers, but these stories we're focusing on are only involve like so many.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the main interesting things about it, which is why I wanted to talk about magic and horror related things, was the world they sort of created in Innistrad. So basically the ghouls, like it's more likely that your dead body will produce a ghost that'll turn into like a ghoul or geist that'll start haunting everyone else. And so basically the best thing that can happen in Innistrad is that you're rich enough to have your body like buried and like peacefully, and like no one else is gonna fuck with it, and there's no necromancers that are gonna walk into the graveyard and be like, free dead bodies, I want to raise all of these and start wreaking havoc on Innistrad. And so they have that meshed in with classic movie monsters. So you have like werewolves, vampires, things like that, and so it all kind of gets mixed together. And so you have this really dark world that all of the humans are living in. And so if you look at all the cards from that block, they're all like sword wielding, like magic bearing people, or they're angels. And so they're fighting like basically for their life all of the time. And so like they're never having like a moment of peace in Innistrad. And so that's interesting that they created that sort of horror world within the game itself that you can kind of explore through the cards or through like the lore that you're reading.
Oh yeah, that Magic's done really well is like just, have the narrative interspersed with the cards, creating really robust, very, very robust settings and whatnot, and then really intricate plots too. Really intricate plots between all of them and whatnot, and how they all interrelate with each other. The Innistrad block was super fun though. Lots of cool, like all of the werewolf cards operated off of transformation.
Yes. So
you had to do things in game to trigger a transformation off of the card. So if you had so many cards here, or so many of this card, this werewolf, this like just a human transforms into this werewolf, and he's way more powerful now, and he listens to you now. So
I dig werewolves a lot.
What do you like the most about them? Because I like werewolves too. I was gonna say.
Like, just in general, or just, like, in the world of magic?
Well, do you think, is it more because you're like, yeah, they can definitely whoop some ass when it comes to, like, vampires? Or is it, like, you like the aesthetics, like, transforming and things like that?
Originally the aesthetics, for sure, but definitely the whole, like, conflict between vampires and stuff. It's just
right.
That whole classism, even.
Yeah, that's actually in the game. The vampires are, like, I don't even know how to explain it. At some point, they're doing, like, a lot of bureaucracy within themselves.
The vampires in Magic, depending on where you go, depending on what plane you're on and where you go, who they are,
they're a little different.
They can be kind of bureaucratic and like aristocratic.
That's it. That's the word I was looking for.
Aristocratic, so very like highborns, and they sort of just drain everything from everyone. Like so,
Pure
we were talking about Avacyn's creation. Avacyn's an angel,
yes,
on the plane of Innistrad, who basically rallies the humans together and gives them hope for surviving the darkness.
Yeah, surviving in Innistrad.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The reason behind that's great, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I was. If you'd like to explain, you can explain.
So Markov, the vampire, he creates Avacyn to give all of these people hope so that their food source stays alive and survives in Innistrad, because if the food source ran out, the vampires have no problem eating each other.
There's that bureaucratic aristocracy we were talking about.
So they were like, you know what, our food source is going to run out, so we should give them a little hope. And so they created Avacyn and some of the other angels, who are pure because of the way that they're created, but don't fully understand that the vampires are like their masters. Until it's too late and they get like corrupted by some of the Eldrazi, start melding together and creating these crazy combos that you'll see in, I think it's Eldritch Moon and Shadows over Innistrad, I think were the main ones.
I think one of my favorite cards from that set is It That Rides Alone.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right?
It's like a horse and a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Melded together.
Then it becomes like an Eldritchian horror on a horse, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's a good card.
That set released a lot of good card names. One of the Eldrazi, the bigger ones, is called It That Betrays, and it's like a 12/12 creature. It's humongous. It has like a Annihilate 2 or something like that. Just basically like it attacks and 2 of your cards are destroyed no matter what. Like that's just like that. And then they had like the other ones. They like Pathrazor of Ulamog and like Kozilek's. I think it's like Kozilek's Arbiters is one of the other. So there's just a lot of cool names in it. I'm definitely a fan for those.
One thing that, since we're getting down onto the idea of planar destruction,
right?
I think that there is one group in the Magic universe who pretty much stands undisputed challenger of all planes, and that would be the Phyrexians.
Yes.
And I think that our good friend Eddie has done a little bit of reading up on the Phyrexians, and he might be able to tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe.
They're very like mechanical, puritanical kind of race, and it's kind of like I could compare them to like say the Borg in Star Trek, pretty much. And
that's a good comparison.
Well,
really good. Yeah, no, it's great.
I like that.
Yeah, and also they were very Giger-esque as well, which I dig because I'm a big fan of the whole like Giger's artwork and Alien.
Oh,
sure.
okay. Oh, that's a nice aesthetic.
Yeah, no, and they really, I mean, I actually agree with you. If you look at like the artwork for like Pyrexian Obliterator and things like that, it's very, very like looks very alien-like and very, very like Gigeristic, just like he was saying.
Yeah, I also just I love that just their whole like aesthetic and style pretty much, and that they are just anything flesh-like, anything that's not mechanical is just impure, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
And that it's like a hierarchy of like the machine is just like the next step of evolution for them, pretty much.
Do you happen to know what the planeswalkers, like the main ones from them are? Is it like Obnixilus?
They usually, I don't think Obnixilus is a Phyrexian or a Pyrexian.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Either or, they're interchangeable. You know, caramel.
So, potato.
Until someone, yeah. Wait a minute, what do you say, Eddie, in your head? Is it Pyrexian or is it Phyrexian?
Phyrexian.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll go with Phyrexian then.
It just sounds sexier to me.
I agree. I think
like
so
the way
too.
Phyrexian sounds.
Phyrexian sounds way cooler than Pyrexian. Like,
but it's like the PH sounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah, it's like pharmacy. Pho. That weird.
Yeah,
sound.
like it's almost like pho. You know, when you have some pho. Pho's pretty good.
Side note.
Phyrexian.
There's a pho place called the Fucking Best.
That's pretty great. I love that.
And
they totally knew
Pho
what's
King.
Yeah, they did. Essentially, it's Pho King. So you say it together, and it's like the fucking best.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is great. They knew what they're doing with their
What kind of
wordplay.
pho is it? The fucking best.
Yeah.
So, with these Phyrexians, I remember I was first introduced to Phyrexians in Magic when I went to go play a pre-release event.
Nice.
For what was it? It was Scars of Mirrodin. Or it was Mirrodin Besieged. That's what it was. Mirrodin Besieged. And this is when the the Pyrexian Mirrodin conflict, the Phyrexian Mirrodin conflict was happening. Mirrodin was basically a plane of metal, like organic metal, and they all just sort of lived nicely. Everyone was kind of like into artifacts, and they have metal trees and things like that. And then in come rolling the Phyrexians, and they start infecting the world. And this is when they brought in the infect mechanic into the game, which really changed the meta of the game for a lot and pissed a lot of people off. Some people thought it was a cheap-ass way to win the game. Some people thought this. It basically like made it so that your life total was cut in half. If you played a deck like that, your opponent had less time to win the game, essentially, because of these cards. And so, but it was reflected like that in the lore as well. These creatures that come and they infect the world and then make it, purely mechanical and like try to evolve it that way. Like what Eddie was saying.
Okay.
And whatnot.
Got it. I like that. That's interesting. There's also always that concept that exists in some form of storytelling, which is that like most of the robots, if they ever get any sentience, usually want to take over everything and make everything a part of that world. It's never just like, we're going to exist over here on our own little island. It's always like, nope, everything is not pure. We need to start purifying.
The interesting bit is that the Phyrexians... God damn it. The Phyrexians have been around since Magic began. They've been around for a long time.
Oh,
they're actually one of the oldest like evil groups that exist.
Right.
They're like werewolves and vampires are just kind of standard fantasy horror sort of deal. So they've been there forever. Maybe not necessarily as big in the narrative. So more recently they've been more big in the narrative. Eldrazi weren't even a thought back in the day, not until more recently.
Yeah.
So before then, the Phyrexians were the big, scary, like, bad guys.
I think what I also liked about some of the horror elements was the way that they were getting rid of the demons and all of the evil things on Innistrad. Essentially, they thought that just by destroying, like, the physical form of this demon, that they would be banishing it and getting rid of it. And so at first they thought, yeah, we're going to kill a bunch of these and it's no problem. But they kept reforming. And what they found out was that they were only killing like a physical form that would then get created again because of the magic or the mana that they were using. And so at this point they were like, okay, we have to figure out how to bind them. And so they created like this place that they sent them all to, and they would bind them in this area. And so there was really no way to like 100% get rid of these things unless they like went and killed like the creator, like the main one of it. But at this point they're still like not sure what's creating it, and it could just be the mana from the plane itself that's creating whatever that they're experiencing. And so the angels are the ones who sort of come in and are like, oh, they can like bind it, like Avacyn being one of the main ones. They show humans like kind of how to do it, but no one can really do it except for maybe like the paladins or like some of the knights that show up. But that's how you got cards like Oblivion and like other ones where like it like keeps them sedated, but they're not gone from like the border, so you don't get rid of them all the way. And so that was a cool concept that they brought into the horror style of it, where like most of these things you can't get rid of, and that sort of exists amongst all of horror. Like you don't really get rid of things. Like, have you seen the Babadook?
Yes.
I love that movie.
She doesn't get rid of it at the end. So like
Just
like,
serves it as a sandwich at the end of the movie, and just
right,
like
such a weird
accepts-
ending. But that's one of the concepts I liked a lot. It's good. It's a good way to use horror for a storytelling element, especially with a lot of lore. Especially people love lore.
It also goes against the conventional "we destroy evil."
Yes, good
sort
versus
of,
evil fight.
You know, yeah, good versus evil is so cookie cutter, dude.
Well,
Like it's just really cookie cutter nowadays.
you can't really smite evil like completely, because there's going to be always a new form of evil coming out.
Yes, I like that concept too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other
It's
day.
like you
actually.
cut the serpent's head, and it's just like you kill one, 3 more will appear. Pretty much Hydra.
Oh yeah, ooh, hydras are fun to play in Magic, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Like
Always expensive.
yeah, you want to find like really good ones. They're way too expensive, but there are some that are pretty legit, like the green ones.
We're talking mana cost expensive, not money cost expensive.
No, I'm talking both, like money and
Okay,
mana.
I guess some of them are.
Because some of them are,
It
but
costs money
yeah.
to buy these cards for sure.
It does. All right. Yeah, I'm wrong. Yes, it is.
But you can play Magic the Gathering on a budget and
Yes,
have
you
fun.
can.
Yeah, we've made some like, I don't know what they're called, the cheaper decks.
Popper?
That's it. They're called popper decks because like each card is less than $1.
Yeah, you only have commons. It's all commons. That's what Popper
Yeah.
is. It's a format.
It's a format like 60 card and EDH is.
Yep.
Mitch, can you tell me what EDH stands for?
EDH stands for Elder Dragon Highlander.
Elder Dragon Highlander.
And excuse you, it's now called Commander. Nobody calls it that nerd name anymore.
Right.
Except for me.
I was like, I still call it EDH. I don't give a fuck.
It's the coolest name
How do
ever.
you change such a cool fucking name?
I know, right? To Commander. Well,
To
because you use the
Commander?
Commander in the format of Commander, but with
Why didn't they just
but-
call them Highlanders?
Yeah, I mean, originally it was because like Elder Dragons were like the big, like
Yeah.
multiple colored legendary creatures, and so
Oh,
they were
okay.
all of them were Elder Dragons. So it was the Elder Dragon.
Oh,
what was
originally they were
originally,
Elder
yeah, that
Dragons.
was like when it was originally. It wasn't even like like now it's like a Wizards like supported format.
Yeah.
But originally it was just nerds just passed this around online.
Yeah.
This is just the rules to it. and
They
just got
made it an
developed.
official format, which is great.
There's
That's
actually
how-
a bunch of things like that people did. Like there's other ways of playing the game. Like two-headed giant's always been a thing,
yes.
which is like teams basically.
Team shares life points, right?
Yeah, you share life points.
Yeah.
Yeah, not mana, which I wish everyone wishes. Let's see. But the other format that they do is there's like a Emperor is another one that's really fun. It's when you have
Ooh.
6 people.
You can only attack a certain person, right?
Yeah, and it's basically like destroy one of the bodyguards so you can get at the person in the center.
Right.
And then the person in the center can like send troops to like either like send their creatures over to their guards to guard to support them.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I like those. I also like that they took a fan-made thing and made it real.
Yeah,
And we're
I don't
like,
think
yeah.
Wizards supports that one. It's just a thing that like it's like one of those like player created formats that players will play.
Oh,
but
really? It's not
sup-
official?
No, it's not a supported thing.
That's
no.
really funny because
Yeah.
people make it. They treat it like it is.
Yeah, because you want to have official rule set so you
Yeah.
know it's fair.
Like even with like the cards you can have in it, like modern or like
Yeah.
what's the other one?
Well,
Legacy.
So the formats go as far as my limited knowledge. I've never been competitive with Magic really.
Same.
So it's like it goes standard, which is the most current sets of Magic. Then it's modern, which is everything from 8th edition to current. And then it goes legacy and vintage. And legacy and vintage are like, I want to say like you use any card from any time period, and it's just ridiculous. And those games like end on like turn 3. And
Yeah,
stuff like
they'll
that.
play
It's
something
very,
crazy.
very ridiculously fast. Like those games are nuts. There's like 20,000, more than 20,000 cards in the game that you can pick from.
Yes.
So many possibilities. And yeah, those are pretty much the formats. And then there's Commander as well, which is its own thing. And then Commander also has like 1v1 Commander. And then there was like another format of Commander called Tiny Leaders, which had converted mana cost limitations set on them and things like that, which it's a dead format. Nobody really plays it.
Well, Tiny Leaders was saying that you could use any card as your commander, right?
Only 3 mana cost or lower commanders.
Gotcha.
And your deck had to be the same way too.
Oh, wow.
And it could only be 50 cards, I believe.
Ooh.
So it was like, and you only had 25
I could see why
life.
it died.
Yeah, it's a different thing. It was kind of cool. I tried it and I got to play like a one game with it.
All right. Well, before we get too far down the rabbit hole and how to play Magic.
Yeah, right. I don't want to do a tutorial
right?
on how to play Magic.
What did you guys like most about the Eldrazi? Because I sure as hell love the giant Eldrazi like horrors that they show up. They even have horror in the name for most of the cards.
Well, I mean, I like some of like the hybrid Eldrazi stuff. I also am just a fan of the classic Titans.
Yes,
I just like all of them. Like the OG, like they were just so overpowered when they came out, and it was like a different like as a green player who has all the mana, they were great.
So this is them. Like Kozilek, Ulamog, and then who was the other one? Emrakul was the other one. Yeah, so they're like, you pulled one of those out during a game, you're probably not going to win, or the opponent is probably not going to beat it.
There were quite a few ways around them, and there still are. There's ways to get rid of them and stuff. You can exile them. They're not all invincible totally. They're just very scary, and it's awful to deal with them on the board. So it's not fun. But like I remember playing them. I just remember liking the aesthetic. They always came in and did something crazy. They were always very like big spells. They always came in and just wrecked the other side of the field really awfully. Your opponent's not happy when those are down. It was great. Good time to be alive.
What about you, Eddie? Do you know much about them?
I couldn't tell you, man.
No.
I wish.
Well,
I'm looking forward to just play this game later on, just
right.
to like get more of like getting out of these training wheels.
I'm a huge fan of the Eldrazi, so I have a bunch of Eldrazi cards.
All right.
I have.
I like the artwork definitely to all the.
Oh man, they have really good artists. They have a lot of guest artists that show up to do cards for them. Like they had the guy who created Minecraft.
Okay.
I can't remember his official name, but like Notch.
yeah, Notch. They had Notch go.
Yeah, and he showed up and he did a card called I think it was Relentless Mining was the card that it was, and it's like you like destroy a land for a certain buff, and like you just kept doing that.
That's pretty funny.
And it's like
that sounds like an unhinged or unglued.
It's a
card,
terrible card.
Sounds like a joke card or something almost. It's pretty cool.
I never got a chance to get the unhinged cards.
I think even some comic book artists like from 2000 AD.
Yeah.
Worked on some of it. Like I think maybe Glenn Fabry or Greg Staples.
I think both of them. Yeah. You can like search on their website by artist.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I don't know if it's like their main site or if it's like another one I was looking at, but you can go
artists who've worked on like Magic
you can be like, all right, who's done like their own artwork for this? There's definitely people who are like regulars. And they've just been on for years and are just doing all of the artwork. And then they'll get guest artists to come on and do specialty cards, like when they got the guy from Minecraft to do that. He made like 3 cards. And one of them was the mining, and then another one had to do with explosions. It was like a play off of the creepers.
Aggressive Mining was a designed by Marcus Persson.
There you go.
And it's you can't play lands. You sacrifice a land to draw 2 cards.
Yep.
And it's for 4 mana, and it's a M15 card. 2015.
Yeah, it's like a ditch effort kind of card. Like you got nothing else to do, so you just start eating lands to get more cards out and see if maybe you can pull something and get it out, help you win. But otherwise, it's cool to have. I have it sitting somewhere because I wanted his artwork, so I just have like the card, and it's not like in use for a deck or anything.
Apparently, Notch made 14 cards for Magic.
You need 14?
He made 14 different ones.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did Genesis Hydra, Obnixilis, the Unshackled. I think. Oh, maybe not. Maybe. Oh no, I'm a dork. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm wrong.
I think for that set,
he just did Aggressive Mining.
They had guest artists. They had like 14, 15 different guest artists do like 1 or 2 cards.
I don't know. Is Brad Muir anybody's? Brad Muir? I don't know.
Does not sound familiar.
Doesn't sound familiar to me either. I don't know any of these people.
I'm not sure if that one actually.
Oh, Penny Arcade did Avarice Amulet.
Oh.
Literally says Penny Arcade on the card. That's really funny.
They didn't want to use any other names. That's pretty funny, actually. I like that. I would definitely use like a fake name or like a surname. Pseudonym. Thank you.
George Fan is a Plants vs Zombies. Was a Plants vs Zombies guy, and he did a Genesis Hydra, which is like a Venus flytrap looking Hydra.
Hell yeah,
it's kind of awesome.
I should see if I could find all those. Make a nice little frame set of it. Be something I'm into to do something like that. Hell yeah.
I'm too distracted reading this list right now.
Right, you're getting into like all the guest artists.
It's too freaking cool, man. There's too many awesome things.
From like an aesthetic viewpoint, what do you guys think about the artwork you've seen for like cards from these blocks? So like Innistrad.
I love all their artwork. Yeah. Their artwork is amazing. It's just gotten better over the years.
There's a evolution to Magic, pretty much.
Right.
Like there's, as Mitch was going on, of like the classic kind of Magic, and then like the different generations, and then there's guest artists or like people who are well known for other works go on and make their own like rendition of Magic, pretty much.
It's definitely become its own sort of like a pop culture thing that almost anyone can get into, because it has a different plane, a different card, a different piece of lore that appeals to somebody. And so in our case, we were drawn to the horror aspect of it because of the nature of the podcast. But when it comes to other things that you can like see, that when I started playing in Theros, and there was all of the heroics. So it was like Greek mythology kind of got blended into their world. And so I have a deck that's all like all the heroes from this time period, and they come together and be like make some cool combos or something like that. But the artwork for it always reminds me of the Greek mythology that you found in like other aspects of pop culture. So if you wanted to think of like God of War or something like that.
I love God of War.
Magic has done a cool thing with like blending their storyline along with different cultures. So like there's different cultures on all the planes and everything. So like the Dragon Lords of Takir reminded me very much of like, I want to say like feudal China in a way.
Yes.
Sort of and whatnot. That's what I was gathering anyway. And I really liked that that aesthetic a lot.
It was like
really
the
awesome.
Extension of, what was it, Kawagama? Or
it wasn't an extension of Kamigawa to my knowledge. Kamigawa was its own plane.
No, I mean like aesthetically, like the style.
Oh yeah. No,
they continued with that sort of like, oh, we're gonna make something similar to this, but different plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also I think this has been like a long like training card, sort of a training card game that has a long legacy that's kind of
right.
Create more players and more fans.
Oh man,
and stuff, and just like it's kind of like breaking that mold of from like people who used to have like baseball trading cards pretty much to like even when we were pretty young there was like Pokemon.
Yeah.
And how long has like that Pokemon trading card last, or the Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards, or Digimon? Or
I was so upset that the Pokemon artwork just went to shit after like the first editions.
Rest in peace.
Like, yeah, like it looks so good when the first editions came out, and then like you look at them now and it looks so weird. I think it's just because of the art style they've chosen, which makes the cards look very cheap. Like you don't have any depth to some of the artwork.
An interesting bit, card games before poker.
Yes.
That's what people would do. Get it, play poker. And that's what like
blackjack, shit like that.
Yeah, and then just hang out and do that. And then that's like a really pretty simple game. Pretty simplistic, pretty to the point, and people getting together for a night of poker.
Yes.
Nowadays, I'm seeing adults my age who are like, we're getting together for a night of Magic.
25 plus.
Yeah, exactly. Right, 25 plus people. Yeah, exactly. Getting together for a night of Magic, and I feel like it's going to be a thing that continues on with our generation, where the generation before us didn't care about stuff like that.
No.
And we're fine with just. I think it's going to be different. I'm really kind of excited to get old with this generation because I feel like we're going to have a lot of fun, a lot more fun.
We're going to be the coolest grandparents. Like, we're going to be showing kids how to play Magic, and then be like, "What? No, Grandpa, this isn't the new Magic. This isn't standard." And you'd be like, "What the? Well, I was playing fucking."
What do you mean all my cards are defunct now? You whippersnapper. Throw a deck box at him.
Right? Getting really mad at him is like, you did not just clear my field.
You did not.
Get the fuck out of my house. You're like, oh, because you're fucking pissed at your grandson for doing a fucking field wipe on you.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day when I played it used to have a book of like of etiquette rules for gaming.
Really?
Yes, and it used to be like you will not touch another member's cards without asking
wow.
permission. Like shit like that. Like, you are allowed to ask questions, ask permission first.
Yeah.
And then nowadays it's like, please bathe before coming to our store.
God. if there was a fucking card game that would have rules like that, it would be fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Because like it goes along with the way that they play the game in the show. It's a very formal event, unless you were like doing the street style.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yu-Gi-Oh was super dramatic in the show, though.
Hell yeah, it was.
Doesn't even follow the rules.
Well, because I also find it funny that the back of the cards almost look like Magic cards.
So close.
Yeah,
They want to be
except for the gems on the back of Magic.
Oh right, like the colors, the main colors that they have on there.
But it's got like this brown spiral thing design going on.
I think what's funny about Yu-Gi-Oh is that at the end of the show, you basically discover that he was just cheating the whole time.
Well, you always have this one card up his sleeve.
Oh no! I meant like when he plays, he like transforms into like another person because of the puzzle box that he carries.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't even really Yu-Gi-Oh playing the whole time.
It's this other entity.
It's like this other entity locked in the box. Yeah, that was just like basically autopilot for him for most of the game. I was like, wow, this dude was cheating like the whole time. And then like you had dudes like, what was it? Was it Pegasus? Who was just trying to buy his way into the game? He was like your pay to win guy. He
was able to like see cards in his deck and stuff. I don't remember. It's dumb. It's so dumb. I don't care.
What were we talking about? Well, we were talking about the cultural relevance.
Yeah, the cultural relevance of Magic for sure.
Also, we'll be cool ass grandparents. I agree.
Yeah, we are going to be cool ass grandparents. Yeah, definitely. I mean,
as we're pushing close to 30.
Yeah.
Right? What are things you guys think you'll be doing in old age that it'll just seem off because of the way our generation is?
Listening to Cannibal Corpse at an old folks' home.
Yes.
Right? I want to be that grandpa.
Right? Just comes in, you can barely hear, so it's like really loud.
Right?
I try not to think about too much of my own future of like how old or where I'm going to be, if I'm going to be like in an old folks' home or if I'm going to be on my deathbed or just like out in the countryside somewhere. I don't know. That's not. I just kind of live in the moment, pretty much. That's sort of my ideal like philosophy that I sort of look at things.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
it saves you a lot of worry because I feel like I'm just constantly worried about what's gonna happen in the next few years.
And I'm always bombarded like, what am I gonna do with my future and stuff? Is like, I understand that stuff for sure, but just like where my self-interests are, what I see happening is just everybody's got different sort of tastes and sort of like hobbies and stuff. So Magic is a hobby for sure for like people who like fantasy, who like playing card games, who like playing poker pretty much, or just games in general. Just like even like the type of music you like to listen to. It's always varies from people to people.
I like that. That's a good answer. Shit.
Solid as fuck.
Right?
Man.
Yeah.
Solid.
I don't know. I think I always imagine those scenarios because I'm still not even sure if I'm gonna have kids or not. Like that's
why
still
worry about that?
That's so up in the air for me because like I'm like, why would I want kids at this moment? And I just don't.
You're enjoying whatever sort of yeah.
Enjoying the childless life.
Right. Also, what's funny about that too is I've passed the age of most of my family members, like when they had kids, like by a lot. They had kids like 21, 22, and I'm now like almost 30, and they're like, yo, so when are you gonna like have kids and get married and shit? I'm like, that's not like, I'm gonna take a photo with my bachelor's degree and be like, this is my child, and send out Christmas cards and stuff.
I worked very hard for this.
My cat and the bachelor's degree, and just send that out.
The cat holding the bachelor's degree. And just like,
he's like, he helped me study, you know.
Yeah. He knows. Yeah, he was always there.
My
for
folks
me.
had my brother and I at a very young or a very old age.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so they had me in their like mid to late 30s.
Okay.
Pretty much, and then my brother in their late, almost close to late or early 40s.
Did your parents at all introduce you to horror and things like that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Not so well. My dad introduced me to Alien and Terminator, which I
Yes, Alien, yes.
yeah, and then like Universal horror, but then I think I kind of went more down that path on my own,
Right.
pretty much. Like when like the first Hellboy movie, I was like,
Yes.
that was
such good
like a
movie.
gateway for me to get into that artwork from the comic books and stuff, and then I was really more interested in knowing like Guillermo del Toro's like work and stuff, and then we're just bombarded with a lot of horror these days. Like we got American Horror Story, Penny Dreadful, Dexter. We got like what was that serial killer that's got a show on Netflix now?
Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
The Ted Bundy one with
the Zac Efron.
freaking
Man, that guy's an
High
idiot.
School Musical is
Oh,
fucking going and
Zac
being
Efron?
Zac Efron is being a fucking serial killer.
Look, I miss High School Musical days of Zac Efron because he was great.
When we were, like in high school.
I'm
and
not allowed to like those movies because I'm not allowed to like those movies.
What?
There's no specific reason. I just cannot stand musicals. Are just not really my thing.
Oh, gotcha.
And the teenage high school life thing, I just kind of hate it.
No, you don't like it? I was a huge fan. I was all about it.
You're a dork. That's
I was
right.
we're all in this together song, man. That was the shit.
No.
Hell yeah.
You were listening to All This Is Together. I was listening to Smashing the Scepter by Gorgoroth.
Oh,
Okay, so
oh.
like, I was listening to like.
Excuse me, do you have enough room for your dick over there?
Yeah, do you have enough room for that edgelord over in the corner of the room?
What the fuck was that name? Is that a real name?
Well, Gorgoroth is the name of a black metal band from Norway, yeah. Which is actually based off actually based off a Tolkien place in Mordor, which is the plain of Gorgoroth, the plateau of Gorgoroth.
Gotcha.
And so Gorgoroth is a black metal band from Norway, and I just named a song "Crushing the Scepter" off of Pentagram, I believe is the name of the album. Super edgelordy. I'm so
That
into it.
sounded like you made it up. I was like, you just made that up right
it's
now.
real. It's real. It's an actual
It's
band.
fake news.
It's fake.
They
Right,
got banned from Poland for having
shit.
they got banned from Poland for playing a live song, and they had a whole bunch of like goat heads on like the front of the stage, and like they got models to be quote unquote crucified on stage, like covered in blood. They're all naked and everything, and it's probably one of the most evil looking shows you'll ever look at. And I understand why the whole country got mad. So
the whole country.
at least the whoever their fucking prime minister is, or whoever dictates their bullshit.
You said Poland?
It was Poland, yeah. It was Krakow, Poland, I believe.
Nice.
It was that city where they were just like, you cannot come back here.
Not dealing with it.
You're not allowed. Like
That's
that's
hilarious.
not okay.
That just makes you think about how I really want to have a book that's banned in the United States. Like, I want to make a book and then have it banned, so that I could get on the banned book list of the United States, because it's like it doesn't have very many.
blacklisted.
So before we kind of wrap things up and I let you guys go, have you guys seen anything lately that you definitely want to recommend to the listeners? So this can be horror based or something you just like, you have to watch it even though it's not horror.
Gotta see Game of Thrones and that amazing ending to that show. Also, Chernobyl is amazing. Fantastic show, by the way. Chernobyl's great. I love it. It's frightening as fuck because it's an actual event. The way that they dramatize everything feels really, really indicative of the time and the place.
So this is the meltdown of the nuclear plant in Russia?
In Ukraine.
In Ukraine. Okay.
Which is, yeah, technically Russia. They all call each other comrade. It's pretty great. Anyway,
For English actors.
there's some pretty glorious scenes that really show you like the level that people went to try to solve this problem.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's insane. It's like the core has exploded.
Okay.
And is now leaking radiation into the air, and it's traveling like hundreds of miles away from the city, spreading all over Northern Europe.
Fuck.
Like it's getting into like it's.
Didn't it create acid rain as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it hasn't. I don't think the show's gotten to that part yet.
Yeah.
But they bring in like, it's nuts, man. They bring like the firefighters show up on the scene. They try to like put out this fire that's been started by the core, because the core's so hot it's burning things around it. So nobody knows that the core is exposed. Some scientists do. The government of the Ukraine doesn't want the people to know that, so they keep it really hush hush.
Right,
So this
panic.
is like a fear of like, yeah, it's crazy. So these guys are just like, yeah, and they almost don't believe them when they say the core exploded. That's impossible. How could you're stupid. No, the core never blow
Right.
up. It's just a fire. And they're like, no, the core exploded. It fucking exploded. And then they're all trying to figure out what's wrong with it. One of the craziest bits is that they try to bring water in to do so. Water vaporizes before it even gets there.
Oh, what?
It's so hot because it's burning at 2,000 degrees constantly.
Shit.
And it's just that at that. And so they have to bring in sand to dump it on there. And that's like their way of dealing with it. And some of the helicopters get so close that it just melts the propellers off of them.
What?
Like it's fucking insane. It's insane. So you just see these guys just boop, they just fall off, and the helicopter just crashes, and they're just like, oh my god, like just trying to stop this because no one can get close to it. And when they gets close to it, gets blasted with radiation. They die in a week.
And get like a bad sunburn.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's an understatement. A bad sunburn.
Well, that's what I was
yeah.
watching from the first episode, and there's
Yeah.
like 3 episodes in now.
Oh yeah,
or-
there's only 3 episodes of it out now, so it's not finished yet. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
so-
premiering?
yeah, hmm
Fuck.
it's really good.
It's a mini series. So.
Might be a good reason to keep my HBO after Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Oh, dude, have you seen the Watchmen thing that's coming up next?
I'm waiting for that.
So, do you know anything about it?
No.
Yeah. Like Damon Lindelof is doing it, pretty much, and it's like 30 years after the events of Watchmen, the graphic novel.
Oh,
They use the graphic novel source material for it.
holy
there's
shit.
there's this cult of Rorschach apparently, or the
Yes.
Church of
Because
Rorschach.
they get his journal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it
Yeah.
because they got his journal that he published?
Jeremy Irons is Ozymandias.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's also like a sequel book called Doomsday Clock, which
Yeah.
is probably a different narrative to what the show is going to do. But I've never really been big on Damon Lindelof and his work. Like, he's done Lost and Leftovers and the Prometheus movie. That's what I can
Okay.
say what he's done, pretty much.
Gotcha. Let's see if I had to think of something. Well, it's interesting. Like, I at first did not like it, and then it got more interesting as I watched it. Aquarius on Netflix. It is focused in Los Angeles around the time that Charles Manson was gathering together all of his people to like start doing what he wanted to do, which was like, I'm still kind of unclear on what he was
Make
trying
a
to do.
cult of wives.
Well, like,
I think.
yeah, so
Right?
like,
kind of.
well, the thing is like when he first got in trouble, like when he had his first run-ins with the law, he got in trouble for like being a pimp and like like basically like getting women to have sex with guys and make money off of it. And so like that was his main thing. And then as it went on, he was really good at brainwashing people to being like to follow him into this like new free movement that was kind of around the same time. So like late 60s, early 70s. When the free love movement was kind of a thing. So he was like, yeah, like you guys gotta
Co-opting the hippie life.
right. He like totally co-opted it to start doing some like really evil shit. And so he's one of the main characters, and then the story follows one of the main police detectives, who is like he's like an anti-hero. He's like a chaotic good person. He doesn't like follow the law exactly. He's not afraid to intimidate people. Like he like puts this guy's head to like an open flame to get an answer out of him. So like he's
So your
definitely
classic like gumshoe PI who's
yes.
just
He's good too. He's like really good at his job.
anybody familiar in the show or
No, you probably won't recognize anybody in that show, which is really weird.
Is this a Netflix or
Yes,
it's Netflix?
It's on Netflix and it has 2 seasons.
So I want to mention a series that I'm also excited for that's coming out in like August, I believe.
Which one?
It's August. The Dark Crystal. Fucking excited.
Wait,
I saw
so
that
it's a
movie
series?
for the first time.
Yeah, it's a series. It's what's up?
I just saw that movie for the first time the other night.
Oh,
The Dark Crystal.
What did you think?
You know, I liked the aesthetic and this whole world that they were building, but I couldn't really get into those little creatures, those dog face elf things. I was just like,
The little puppets.
yeah,
They're called Gelflings. Okay?
yeah,
Excuse
a
you.
girlfriend. But
And the vulture people are called Skeksis, and they actually caused the apocalypse of the world by cracking the crystal.
but they fuse with those little like, not
The
those
mystics.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like the good versus evil joins with themselves, and they become these like ghost sentient alien things.
It's supposed to be about the world like reuniting after it's been split. When the crystal cracked, 2 separate, like basically 2 separate beings, like they split. They were at one. They were once one, and then once the crystal breaks, they split off into two separate factions. So like the super peace-loving mystics, and they turn into like the evil vulture Skeksis.
I keep mixing this movie up with Labyrinth.
Yep, same type of like all
I like
handmade.
Labyrinth more though.
With
Labyrinth's pretty
Bowie.
dope. Yeah. It's all got the musical. And it's got.
Oh,
some
don't
cool
get me wrong. I
visuals.
don't like David Bowie.
I like
but
more of like
you don't like him as a person or
Yeah.
just his music? Or
I don't like his popularity and sort of like his like. Yeah, I know this is a hot take. I feel like most of the time he like hid behind the convenient fact that like people just loved his aesthetic and never really did much beyond like being like that original person. He wasn't really like I don't know. I think it's just me. I don't think he was very innovative, to be honest. I think he was just like on the very edge of it and like got like was good luck.
He made songs that were catchy and popular enough to resonate with people.
Right.
And I think it's like that's your personal taste. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kinda different.
Totally.
Of course. Not trying to say that your opinion does not carry any weight for yourself or anything like that. But he definitely garnered some mainstream appeal for a reason. And some of that, I think a lot of it is his aesthetic.
Yeah.
He was really good at storytelling in song. Like I remember like listening to like his like Glass Spider song and whatnot like a long time ago and being really intrigued by it. I liked the narrative aspect. The music didn't catch me as much as the narrative. I liked hearing him like proclaim like this story going on with like this backdrop of music. It was sort of like a story. It was like a storyteller giving you this, and I liked that aspect of it. And then there's a whole bunch of other things. So he always like adopts like a weird character.
Yeah.
Sort of. And I think people attach with like the character of David Bowie rather than like the person David Bowie.
Yeah, I agree. That's
sort of
actually
deal.
that's a
like,
good
why you get like the
explanation.
Ziggy Stardust thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The alternate
But
names.
that's not to say I don't want to go and say that there's nothing to gain from him musically, because everyone's going to look at his music differently. And I know musicians that cried the day that he died, and so that must mean I know really talented musicians that were really, really sad. They wrote their own albums. These people are like good musicians, and they were weeping and like crying with their friends because like a David Bowie died, and it was like that was like a big thing. So that influence, I don't think I could totally ignore that. I don't think I could totally ignore that effect.
I think it's because most of my attention was taken for another person who was really famous during that time period, because I was like a huge fanboy for Prince.
Yeah, Prince is totally awesome. But the thing is, Prince is different than David Bowie.
He is. He's a totally different kind of person.
Prince is his own thing. I feel like Prince and David Bowie would be friends.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like they hang out.
They're
just
so
like,
weird.
You know
They would be like, yeah.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that video where it's oh my God, his last name is Brown. James Brown. Fuck, I'm stupid. Wow, James Brown, like the most simple,
oh my God.
the most basic fucking like first name.
Yes.
James is like So James
Don't just
Brown.
talk smack about James Brown. He's
fucking-
our Lord and Savior in this household.
God, Eddie.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway, so James Brown's up there, and he notices that Michael Jackson and Prince are
Yes.
like at the show,
I love this
and he
video.
like invites them all up to do stuff with it. It's amazing. It's
They
like,
play music. They dance.
yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
It's
just
all
crazy.
impromptu. Like that's crazy.
But I wouldn't say that so I don't know.
get you.
Just because you like Prince doesn't mean you have to discount Bowie. But they were both influential, and they made music that is timeless to this day. People still reference Bowie songs. People still love
sure.
Prince.
It's always preference too. Like, what do
Yeah.
you like? I was more of a Michael Jackson fan than a Prince
Yeah.
fan, and I
I was
liked Prince
definitely a Michael
because of
Jackson fan,
the
yeah.
Batman movie, because he had like 3 songs
Nice.
in that movie, and then Kevin Smith had his crazy story about Prince.
Right. Fuck. There is a lot of stuff. That's a really good point.
I've never heard this story. Tell me this crazy
you
story
should
about
tell
Prince.
the story.
So it was right after Dogma for Kevin Smith, and Prince invited him out to his studio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's some crazy shit.
And he was gonna do this documentary on this album he was gonna do, and like it just didn't seem right for Kevin Smith to do this kind of job, because it just didn't seem like it was his voice to him. Like Kevin Smith, like giving the voice of Prince, pretty much. Like Prince was more of, this is more your thing than my thing, pretty much. But but also it's just like Prince was like being very like Prince himself. Like it's just he was getting all like what's his belief? Like Prince's belief? Like his He had
I don't
like a
even-
real.
I don't even know if he had like.
He was a Jehovah's Witness.
Was he just getting super religiously like motivated on Smith, or was he just getting really persistent on him or something
I
like
didn't
that?
know
Like
that.
you're gonna make the movie for me, like God willing, you have to be the one that makes it. Was that what it was, or
No.
okay,
But
maybe
it
I
was,
don't know what I'm talking about.
But it was more of just like I don't think Kevin Smith knew what Prince's like. Prince didn't know like Kevin Smith's work pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you feel like he kind of just saw a writer director and said, "I'll take that guy," and then Smith's
Yeah.
like, "I'm kind of like a dick joke and toilet humor, dude. You really want me doing your story? This doesn't sound like my thing. I don't want to ruin
I can see that.
your Prince. Why am I going to ruin you?"
Like Kevin Smith was like a big Prince fan and stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. But I understand what you're. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
It's all
I
good.
understand what you mean when you say that Kevin Smith wouldn't feel like it's his voice in the film,
Right.
you know, because
Yeah.
Kevin Smith's a very like he's going to do films that speak to him that are going to be.
But
they
there's
always-
like a documentary on an album that Prince was doing, and Prince was like a guy who did multitude of projects and would never see the light of day.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep.
So this just was so out of place for Kevin Smith to do.
Huh.
And his like him and his wife were spending like the week or so in like wherever that ranch is called that Prince owned.
I can't remember.
Nope.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's like it's like how you have trouble now being a fan of Michael Jackson because you're not sure like kind of where he is on like the accusations that he had against him. But then
I
like,
just enjoy his music.
Just
pretty much.
separate the art from the artist, man. You got to separate.
though.
You got
Like,
it.
I
Sometimes
can't. Can you
does his-
separate the art from Bill Cosby?
Where's the art?
what art did Bill Cosby make?
He was in the show. He was in the Cosby Show. What are you talking
the
about?
Cosby
He was a TV
Show.
like he was like a
Yeah.
TV
But
giant
it's
during
sort
that
of
time
like a
period.
guy
Yeah, during
who's-
that time, I didn't really watch the Cosby Show.
He
though,
was
so I
like-
guess maybe it doesn't resonate with me as much.
That's true. Maybe that
Yeah,
is.
that's true.
Who's
It'd be like
all-
telling like I'm sorry, Eddie.
It's so good. It's like, well, no, Bill Cosby like created this image of the all-American dad,
Yeah.
pretty much in the the high life of New York in the late '80s to '90s
Yeah.
and stuff. And good taste was sort of his theme and philosophy, but then it was just like, no, this guy's got like
Totally not
history. No, not at all.
Well, what got me about that was during the time period in the 80s on a main television show, you got to see a wealthy black family. And so they sort of created a good image for black people during that time period.
Yeah.
And then it got tarnished with him having so many sexual assault accusations later and then kind of like allowing other people to perpetuate like the myth of black men and so how they deal with like sexual situations. And so it sort of made it worse for him in some way because it went beyond just his own work.
Yeah, media is going to spread and twist that story,
Yeah.
and then it's going to create a reflection on a
And-
whole community
yeah.
because unfortunately,
Yeah.
people believe that the outlier reflects the whole.
And now he's in prison, but like, you
Yeah.
know, but like you have Michael Jackson who's dead and like you can't really do anything much past it because like he can't say anything.
Plus, they try to do a documentary about it, like the victims.
Yeah, didn't they find out that most of those were like fake? Like they were like they essentially paid these people to be really really excessive about the stories that they were telling. So like
Interesting.
basically what they did was they like stretched the truth on some of these and like basically repeated what he'd gone to trial for.
So therefore, now we have Michael Jackson in this weird gray limbo sort
Yes.
of, where he's dead and literally in limbo. He's
Yeah.
like literally in limbo
Yeah.
with public acceptance.
That must be a dilemma for people who are religious.
I know people who are still just like, I love Michael Jackson's
Yeah.
music. You know, I still bump Thriller every day.
I'm
you know,
still like I'm still like iffy about it
yeah.
every now and again.
I feel like I'm just not really that big into the hee hee. I'm not really like a big. I don't want to like gyrate my hips. all
Before
the
that
time.
documentary, I listened to his music constantly.
The way you're gyrating
Really?
your hips
Yeah.
right now, Mitch, I just like getting me really excited right now.
That got you off.
Yeah.
What podcast are we on again? We're just like,
What are we talking about again?
We first started like with the horror of magic, and then we jumped to like
Michael Jackson hip motions.
yeah, exactly.
I know.
I just got into DC All Access, so
Oh
anybody
shit.
who's really into the DC comics and stuff, but I was doing it because I wanted to watch the rest of Doom Patrol, pretty much. And that's my new favorite show. If you really like The Umbrella Academy, which was on Netflix, but I think I like Doom Patrol a little bit more because big fan of like Timothy Dalton and Brendan Fraser.
What are like the main characters in Doom Patrol?
Main characters are the character named Chief. He's like your Charles Xavier,
Okay.
like the guy who runs the whole organization
Yeah.
of Doom Patrol. There's Robot Man, who was like a race car driver,
Yeah.
who is in a robot's body, pretty much.
Nice.
And you get this old 1950s style actress who is the Elasti-Woman, but she's a gelatinous blob. So she has to keep constantly like eating and like find her center and stuff just to keep her human form constant. And then there's Crazy Jane, who has like 64 personalities. Unlike
64?
Yeah, unlike James McAvoy, how many fucking personalities he has in that Split movie.
Talk about good acting.
Yeah.
That guy played 8 different people. It's convincing.
That's
I
pretty.
liked it.
So DC's All Access is actually available now.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah,
Like,
is
I
it
might
like
actually-
It's
go
a
on there.
subscription, pretty much. So
How
like
much
you
is
can
it?
like there was like a premium which was $74.99, but I went with a cheaper one which is $7.99.
So just like monthly $7.99. So it's like $8 a month.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, but you still like the other one was like for a year or something, is what I'm gathering.
I guess I don't know. I just wanted to get the cheapest thing because I just wanted to like see more of Doom Patrol.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Plus,
That's cool, though.
They got Swamp Thing coming out in a week, which I'm super excited
Okay,
about.
All right. Got it.
Yeah, right.
Probably gonna have to dump $8 on a subscription.
I mean, I already cut
But
off
the
my
thing is,
HBO.
it's
so.
just yeah. There's
Chernobyl though, like,
I might try to
fuck you
watch
up.
it before.
or wait till it's done.
Westworld's continuing.
Wait till it's all done and then
That's
just binge
true. Westworld is still going.
Well, there's a third season with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
What's left in Westworld? I thought it concluded.
No, because they got a third season. It's kind of funny. This show has been like off and on like production and
Yeah.
just release. And
Well, if I remember right. Oh wait, no. Of course it's going to continue because there's other worlds. Never mind. Yeah.
like Future World.
Yeah, there's like the very futuristic one. There was the Japanese world that they visited. There was I think Vikings, I think was the other one that they were talking about.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of shit. Right, yeah.
I love Viking
They
stuff.
essentially created a themed world for whatever like you
Well,
want.
I think always Michael Crichton, who was the original like creator who did Jurassic Park, has a thing against theme parks, pretty much. Where I was just like, how bad would like these like genetic dinosaurs or robots to run rampant in our world?
Man, that's a good way to create like content for a show to just keep going. You just like take up a different genre and just run with it. That's a good way to do it.
Give it the same series name.
Yeah.
Westworld. All right, here's a bunch of different worlds. One of them's in the east.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
You guys ever watch the original movie?
The original Westworld?
Yeah.
I have not seen it. No, I was really interested though.
Yeah, like James Brolin's in it, and
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yul Brynner, who plays the Man in Black,
Do you know what year that came out in?
early 70s.
Oh shit. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty dated of a movie for sure, but I still need to catch up on Westworld. Like I've seen a few episodes on that and Game of Thrones.
So you haven't seen any Game of Thrones?
No, I've seen 3 seasons of Game of Thrones,
Oh fuck.
so I'm pretty. But I didn't mind the spoilers.
I was gonna say it was like everything spoiled for you.
I at least I got something to look forward to and binge watch
Oh man,
for.
I mean, this is such a controversial topic
I know.
right now. The internet's
What do,
killing each
what
other.
do you think
over it.
about the ending, Mitch? Can we
great.
talk about it? Do you mind?
Are we-
Go ahead. I don't
It's
mind.
fucking great. It's fantastic. It's exactly what the series needed to do to end it. Except for the only problem I have is the pacing. Other than that, all the story decisions make sense to me.
Yes.
Like the pacing through the season, or
Yep.
The
Just-
the last season was 6 episodes, each about like just over an hour.
long. An hour to an hour and a half long.
And they definitely rushed some of the scenes for it where it was like, wait, whoa, like this is happening
Skipping
right now?
travel time and things like
Yeah.
that. Not as many, like, they didn't like during those travel time skips, they probably could have done some dialogue or some nonsense
Right.
like that. But I understand a little bit of the frustration, but for the most part, it seemed pretty sound. Someone brought up to me the idea that they felt the ending was an incredibly sexist ending to the story, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I agree with that totally, because I'm like, Daenerys is not the only like person in that whole series who's fucking nuts. Like, like
That's
every
fair.
single person in that whole story can be fucking nuts.
I
Like,
can
you know,
see how someone might read it that way.
Absolutely.
Because she's
Absolutely.
like, she's so powerful and then just gets knifed by
if you
John.
if you
Well,
try
the way she's developed through the show, where she is more under her brother's wing,
Yeah.
and then she marries into this guy who she is forced to, pretty much, to her arc through the entire series is just like she ends up to this woman where she's kind of like her father, pretty much.
Yes.
it's sort of like it is also sort of like it's sort of like a rags to riches sort of thing. She starts off at the lowest point and has to build her way up.
Yes.
But it's also a lot of the choices she makes along the way. I feel like the show was brilliant in the fact that it portrayed this character like who became a feminist icon for about 10 years now. Like, you know what I mean?
Then just
and
blew
then
it all away.
Flip it like that. And
Yeah.
guess what? It's been in the narrative the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, because people, they see slavers getting crucified and they're like, that's correct. That is what you are
Yeah,
supposed to do.
exactly.
That is right. And everyone cheers her on for doing that. And they don't think anything about crucifying people being bad, not a good thing to do. You know what I mean? So it's not to say that, yes, you should approve of slavery of people. It's more so, how does she go about dealing with her enemies?
Right.
She even tries during that one to talk to them. She goes up there with a tiny force, a little defense force for herself, and then, you know, basically walks up there and is just like, I'd like to negotiate. And gives the whole
and then
try.
like,
She
"Fuck
tries
you."
to do the negotiate thing. And then, like, part of it, I think, is also Marine, where all of these slaves and everything turn on her. And all of, like, the hidden, like, I don't remember what the name of the order is, but the masked folks turn on her.
Oh,
it's like
yes.
a moment where she learns she cannot be soft anymore.
No.
It's where she, like, abandons that idea entirely. And she starts becoming, like, this cold-hearted individual that just doesn't,
Well, she realizes that her dragons are pretty powerful when it comes to making solid decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew for sure she was not going to go down the route of being nice at the end of the show when she roasted the Tarleys and was like, oh, you guys don't want to, like, submit? I'm going to, like, you're sentenced to death right now. Like, at the end of this battle.
Was that not a flip enough for
yeah.
everyone?
So
like,
after that, I was like, oh, she's for sure going to roast people when she gets
not,
there.
Exactly. Like, she's not, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I think people got stuck on the idea that she's just going to go all the way and that this is going to be another cookie cutter, like, you know, Supergirl wins the day sort of storyline.
Also, something to consider is that this is a show written for pure entertainment purposes, and, like, it's gone beyond the book.
Yes.
So the show creators, like, they basically were like, well, we're taking up the reins for the show and we're going to see how this ends.
From what I've heard,
this could be much different, though.
Yeah, from what I heard, from what Martin's told them, is that he's pretty much given them sort of like how his book's going to go. I feel like his narrative will be longer and have a whole lot more flesh to it. And because, you know, with a show, there's only so much, they have a budget. There's only so much they're going to be able to show you and so much they're going to be able to write. I don't agree with most of the people saying that it's like, quote unquote, bad writing. It's just bad writing to you because you don't agree with it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it was bad writing.
No, I don't think it was that terrible. I feel like rushed is one thing. You want to say it's rushed? I'm on your side.
Right.
Everyone has, like, a different opinion on how, like, a show should end anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we can, like, pull different, like, shows out of our hat and just say this one sucked pretty much, like Sopranos, Breaking Bad.
The Sopranos.
Nobody says Breaking Bad's ending is bad.
I'm gonna end this podcast mid-sentence.
No, but it's just like you create this fan base of people who are just like really close connected to this universe and stuff. It's just like how people felt, I guess, about Endgame or like Harry Potter. Or whatever.
Man, I fucking loved Endgame.
Yes, Endgame.
Like,
I was a little indifferent about Endgame. Like,
what? You're off the podcast.
Hot take.
Get the fuck out.
well, this was just fun for just one episode.
Right. Wait, why were you indifferent? I want to know.
Well, I just had a different idea of how like Endgame was gonna go.
Oh, okay.
Much.
So expectations. You were like, I wanted it to go sort of this way.
Yeah, but I know certain characters were gonna die for sure, and just it was sort of like a different vibe, obviously, from what was happening in Infinity War, because we gotta stop a guy from like ending the world and the population, pretty much. And in this one, it's just like we gotta undo everything what this guy did.
Yeah,
pretty much. And then it maybe a little bit less lives are gonna be lost at this, but then it's it's also you're basing stuff off of comic books too, which comic books always break rules of where these characters always come back. Like, can I spoil like what happened?
Oh yeah, you can say whatever. Yeah, anyone who's
I feel like a
listening,
younger Tony Stark will come back later in a future movie, maybe.
Yeah, they'll probably change the actor and then keep his character going. I believe.
And then there's
that.
a Black Widow movie happening.
Yep.
Too.
Or they'll just do a CGI Iron Man shows up somewhere. And they'll
I
just
mean,
do that.
Captain America is getting
artificial
handed off
intelligence.
to.
Yeah.
Yes,
to Falcon.
Falcon, yeah. I forget the name of the.
That's actually real shit that happened.
It
in the
is
comics.
cool. That's cool shit. I like it. Though.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Hands in the shield and is like, "You're Captain America now." I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Oh, cool.
Old man Captain America. That was just so weird to look at.
It was weird. It was
Yeah.
weird to look at his face like that.
And he was just doing that old man handshake of just like, I'm so proud of you. And
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
it's just like, dude, you were like the same age range pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're just being Grandpa Cap right now.
That's so weird. Can you imagine like going? So you're fucking stuck in ice. You go to the future, and then you choose to go back to the past after being in that future. He like knows shit.
Yeah.
Like he could just be like betting on like stock that shows up.
But you know, Captain America doesn't do that though. He wouldn't.
He would totally do that.
He was still.
Captain
America-
America taking care of Peggy. He would totally do it.
All right.
Captain America.
All right.
Is, yeah,
All
he would
right.
totally
You got
do
me.
that.
You got me, John. I can't fight you.
The dude gave up his whole fucking like life basically to go back and see her.
You know, after this long break that we've had, from doing it's good to come back after all these shows have concluded, all these like big epic storylines
Right.
are over. After actually ending one of my own D&D campaigns last night.
That's right, you did.
I did. Yeah, I just ended like an 8-person game where I had like 2 separate campaigns with different sets of players who've never met each other.
Oh dang.
Yeah, and I played for a year with each of them on separate storylines.
Oh my God.
And so I had to take a break from one, and I just used this time to set up a different group in the same universe going against the big bad evil guy.
Oh shit.
And so both of them got together for like 4 to 5 like crossover sections. So it was really cool to see these people who've been role playing with each other, but have never role played with like the other group before, and then see them come together, and then they start making treaties with each other and start like dictating things, and it's super great. It was amazing, and it was I'll never forget it. But stories have ended this year, and it's been a great conclusion for fantasy and sci-fi and whatnot, and we've seen a lot of
big stuff is
lot of
getting
great
concluded. So that's definitely a thing. The last Avengers movie had like 3 moments that I just flipped out like in theater. I was like, this is the coolest shit. The one of them was when Captain America picks up the hammer.
I knew you were one.
And Thor is so excited.
Yeah.
He's like legitimately like happy, excited that his friend was worthy to pick up the hammer, and then like continues wielding it through the rest of the movie. There's that bit. There's a bit when like everyone shows up. Everyone you've ever seen on screen for any of the Avengers movies shows up to fight against Thanos and his army, and he does the Avengers Assemble line. And like you're just like, oh shit! Like people are like in the theater freaking out over that. And
it was like
right.
It's like a collage of all of the
Yes.
Marvel movies
It's everything you'd ever
in
seen.
one movie,
Yeah.
and it's great.
It was cool to bring it all together. It was like that first moment in the first Avengers movie when you got the shot that goes around all of the heroes. This first time you got to see that many heroes on screen at once.
That was the only like comic
Yeah.
book like moment where you can
Right.
just like go from like 6 of those characters in a circle, pretty much going against a horde of aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, panning around all the superheroes, and they
I
all just have
love
their
those.
stances. And
That's
stuff.
so much of like a fan service to do something like that, where it's like you get an iconic pose from them from like one of the comics, so they get brought to life. Then you get to see them all together fighting, and you get like that brief moment where they set up. And so they did the same thing in the new one, but with like a larger scale. So they did that, but they also did it a third time when they got all the female characters to do it to defend Spider-Man, like closer to the end of it, and that was fucking sick. Where they got they had like Captain Marvel and all of the other ones who showed up. So like Scarlet
They were
Witch.
also like kind of repeating the same line that they
Yeah,
did
exactly.
in the last movie.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did the same thing and were able to showcase them. Also, Scarlet Witch almost fucking killed Thanos.
I love
in case
it.
anybody missed
Fucked
that.
him up. Yeah, she fucked him up bad.
He was like, rain fire. Like, this
Yeah.
girl's about to kill me.
I love
I
it.
fucking love the memes that came out for that. Because the dude is like, but sir, our troops. And he's like, I said fucking rain fire.
That was another thing. I kind of wanted. I know we got a very Thanos-centric movie from
Yeah, for sure.
Infinity War, but I wanted more of Thanos again, but of like why he had to do what he do.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, because in the comics he did it for death because
He loves Lady Death.
and this one
Who does not love him back?
in this one we kind of got less of that.
Yeah, he was just like he wanted to just dominate, and then but also like to bring that balance.
Well, we got like the Infinity War timeline,
Yeah.
like Thanos, and then like the Guardians of the Galaxy who jumps across into 5 years into the future to
Oh shit, that's right.
well 5 extra years because they played with like time travel in this a whole lot.
Yeah. I liked the Hail Hydra reference for Captain America, who just goes up to them and is like, Hail Hydra, and like just gets the suitcase away from them and is like, he knew exactly what he needed to do. But like, there's totally a moment in the comics where he like joins Hydra for some reason. I don't know enough about
He's
it.
been a Hydra agent, I guess, from the beginning when he became
Oh, wow.
Captain America.
Holy shit. Damn.
This is also a problem with comic books. They keep rewriting the
Yeah,
lore
they'll change a lot of shit.
and stuff. The consistency of comic books is not very synced.
Well, they've got plenty of content. They're gonna keep pumping out those movies, especially if it's Disney. They're fucking giant. Didn't we establish that they're like basically gonna have the rights to all their stuff forever?
Yes, because Disney and got bailed out by the government
Yeah.
and got extended copyright laws.
Yeah.
And they're not. Yeah. And then corporations count as people. And if your copyright is held by a corporation, technically
It'll never
it
expire.
never dies. So your copyright never ends.
Yeah. Weird loophole.
That's a weird loophole that I think I've discovered, and I might also be full of shit. So if you listeners find out that I'm full of shit, please leave in the comments
Right.
that I'm full of shit.
Yeah. Go ahead and hit up our Facebook page and be like, "You're wrong."
Please tell us that we're wrong and explain to me how this nonsense works because
Oh,
it's all
man.
crazy.
Because it's business and copyright. It's
Right.
just like a whole different thing where
You know, all right. So you know the song, the song of Storms
Yeah.
from Ocarina of Time. You know that
Yeah,
song of
yeah,
Storms.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
that? Yeah. So somebody tried to tell me that the Game of Thrones intro and that song are the same fucking song. And
It's very close.
they're super close. I told him that I think the timing on them is the same, and but the register for Song of Storms is way higher. Like the notes are higher pitch.
I don't
Whereas
know,
Game of Thrones
man.
is dur 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 dur.
That I'm not entirely convinced.
I'm not entirely convinced either, but there are some like mashups of it. And then somebody told me that I should be a lawyer in copyright court, but over this but the timing was definitely the same though for them. They definitely follow like a same like just how the notes hit, not so much what the notes are, but how they hit.
Right.
It's interesting. Anyway, musical bullshit for your
Go
ears.
check out those 2 YouTube videos and then tell us your take.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, let us know if you think they're the same song or not.
I can't play it here for legal reasons.
Yeah, because we'll get fired from John.
Well, before I let you guys go, I just want to remind everybody that we're super easy to find. We're on all the streaming sites, so you can go find us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. I will get the YouTube page back up and running for the most recent episodes because I believe it only goes up to like 3 or 4.
Woo!
Yeah, so gonna work with somebody to get that back up to date. And then we're always on the Facebook page as well as our Instagram and Twitter. We're trying to be a little more active, posting the stuff we're doing, things that we might do in the future. I know for sure that I want to do Are You Afraid of the Dark as well as the Goosebumps series because that's probably like one of the cooler ones. Kind of like how we talked about scary stories to tell in the dark. It's going to be one of those moments where you can like find something that was just as culturally relevant and able to talk about it. But I appreciate both of you guys coming out. Thanks to our guest Eddie for coming to show up. Thank
can't
you,
wait
Mitch.
to be in more.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring you on for some of the other ones, and it'll be good to talk about some.
I got a
future
few more
things.
suggestions out there just to talk about in the future.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. So I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.